Hello, everyone. And I know it's been a tough past year, and I know for the fire department, it's just been equally as very challenging. I look forward to digging into this and talking about your career. I realize for some of you, maybe you're not thinking about that at ninth grade, but I know for me, it was like a it was a rapid change when I graduated and recognized that I was not prepared. And I'm just going to go out on a limb really quickly and tell you, for those of you that maybe have a tough home life or finances or anything like that, I just want to let you know that I was there. And so hard work, being a model and not a critic, um, perseverance. A lot of careers and jobs really are solely based on character and hard work. So I really encourage you to consider those things. And also, I would surround yourself with very positive people and places that will really, pick you up and inspire you. There's some great stuff online, from quotes to people that are guest speakers at colleges. With that, I'm going to dig in. We don't have a lot of time, and I encourage you to ask questions any moment. So here we go. So where are you headed? It's important to think about that. That's me, and that's enough about me. How we got started, this actually is spoken from a co-speaker, so you're going to see some we's in there. Ideally, you'll be in person with the Assistant Fire Marshal, Randy Haynes. I'm going to go through that quick. We only have half an hour, but basically, I started as a volunteer, and I had a structure fire, and for a young 19-year-old person, the adrenaline rush was intoxicating. Not a word I like to use too much because typically it's negative, but in this case, it's very exciting. And fire is just the tip of the spear. There's so much more to this career as I've learned, and we'll get into that. Education and training to be successful, and is continuing education required? I know that's one of your questions, so I really will move quickly because I really want to. I know a lot of you in this world we're in won't ask questions, but I trust that you will ask me some. This is an exciting career. I trust someone out there will just raise their hands and ask a question. But the bottom line is education and training. It, for the fire service and police and in medical career, comes from in all forms. It's life experience, working experience, how to talk to people. Communication is key. And in the education training officially in the fire service is just, it never ends. And from actual physical training to class related training to online training, it's just continual throughout your whole career. Those that get tired or wear out, they typically are the ones that towards the end of their career, they have not good of a quality of life. They just aren't as engaged, aren't as happy. So keeping it fresh, pursuing new things to learn is just a great way to look at life in general. I'll pause for just a second. Any questions at this point? And before you'll see some pretty straightforward answers on other ways or pathways. Paramedic school, so basic life support. People in the fire service are EMTs, emergency medical technicians. Advanced life support, people that do invasive things like literally intubating someone, putting a tube in their throat to breathe for them, shocking their heart, reading cardiac rhythms, heart rhythms, giving drugs through intravenous or intramuscular in the muscle, all things that paramedics do. There's also volunteer organizations, which I highly recommend. Elma and District 5 take volunteers. I'm well connected there, and as well as other places in this county, and I couldn't recommend it more highly to get a glimpse into the fire service. It's really important that you really have a full grasp of what this job is before you dive too deep into it, because it is either for you or it isn't. And there's a lot of pieces of this job that some people just have a hard time with, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's important to know before you invest deeply in something, if you will be passionate, if it will feed your soul, and something that you will continue to want to do for 25 or 30 years. Fire science program, Google it. Google fire science programs, they're all over. And I can also, at the end, I'll give you my information. You can call me, but if you Google that, there's a ton of colleges that offer that. Questions? A common day or week in the fire service, it varies every single day. On Mondays, we do really in-depth cleaning and actually operation of tools to make sure they will never fail us. I'm sure you all heard of the jaws of life, where we will peel open a car like a grapefruit and cut it apart with some pretty massive tools. That takes some significant skill sets so that you don't further injure or make the vehicle that you're trying to stabilize unstable. And Tuesday, medical training. And Wednesday, fire-based training. And Thursday and Friday, the same thing. And Saturdays, we do really deep work of the station. If you want to get a brief understanding of what you do in the fire service, we'll then start cleaning the toilet. And I'm not kidding you. Start doing laundry. Start cleaning rooms, flipping mattresses, vacuuming, washing windows. We have to take care of our station, take care of our gear, take care of each other. So that's a big piece of it. I'd forgot about this question, being perfectly honest with all of you. Terry, do you have a question, or are you just walking through the house? I'll trust you're walking through the house. I know for me, believe it or not, is actually just going on the calls and the communication. So you'll hear a lot of the official sides of what the fire service is today in training and work, but it is an absolutely unbelievable job, meaning the bonds, the laughter, the camaraderie is, I don't know what else to compare it to. I mean, I'm one of the assistant chiefs, so my day now is office work. It is planning, it's a policy, it's administration, and I deeply miss the shift life of working and going on calls with people. I have a brain that likes to learn. It's propelled me forward, and I'm very happy, and it's a very satisfying career. But the shift life is definitely a favorite for me. And I apologize for not updating my PowerPoint. Randy would have responded there as well. Negatives. I want to pause really quick. Any questions? I trust someone will be brave and ask me before this class is over. Negatives, sleep deprivation. You're away from your family, typically 24 hours, and then you're home for 48. There's a ton of other schedules. Sleep deprivation is, depending on where you work, is absolutely going to happen, but that's why we get so much time off. I have some friends that work about 9 days a month. When you get lots of other benefits like vacation and other benefits, when you start utilizing that, we're working about 100 days a year. I will also say, though, that the stress on the body, and mainly in our current world, and it's been increasing for about 10 years, the stress mentally is fairly high. It can be. I think the folks that I work with all do very well, but I also am in charge of some mental health and peer support work, and we're having people access that from even their mid-30s. So it does take a toll. Things need to be in order in your life to make the job as more enjoyable as possible. Finances, spouse, relationships, and etc. make a difference. The stronger they are, the stronger your mental health is and your ability to cope with the stress of this job. I'm going to be honest about that one. If you're going to get into this job, strong moral and strong mental base is really a prerequisite. Activities, classes for experience. Any questions at this point? Someone? Anatomy and physiology. The function, that is literally, it stands for the function and literally how the framework of the body is. It's fascinating. Fire service is a bit of a misnomer. I would say it's more a social services and medical response, and with a little bit of firefighting. On a national level, fire is getting more and more contained and controlled, and fire prevention work, community risk reduction work is being done that helps on that front. But the social side, the medical side, it is continuing to increase. So anatomy and physiology, medical terminology, and then digging into the fire side, physics, how heat moves, how things burn, how the burning and the pressure and chemical reactions are happening inside of industrial, commercial, and also residential places. How the pressure, what that does to that box, so to speak, or that space, and then what you're going to encounter when you go through that front door is really important. And I couldn't emphasize that enough. Water hydraulics, how you move water, how you pump it, how you literally, you got to think about skyscrapers in Dubai, you know, and all over the world. You got to push that water up several hundred feet. How you manage that, it all matters. This job is a fascinating one. You can't learn enough. Just about everything you learn in life applies to this job. So continual activities and classes for experience. Job outlook, 5 to 15 years. Any guesses? I'm tempted to wait the remainder of the class for someone to speak. I really love interacting with people, and this is an awesome career. Hearing none, the job outlook is phenomenal. I tested in Tacoma in 1993. 4,000 people took the job for only 100 openings. Competition is extreme and still is. On that note, there is no shortage of people getting in accidents, doing foolish things, and also just all the pieces of this world that cause harm and injury and just genuine medical problems and fires. So there is no shortage. In fact, Olympia fire departments can have a huge turnover in the next 5 to 7 years. So I would love to talk to you if you're interested. That's my beautiful sunny outlook on life, as well as the future in the fire service. And I would like to add, my wife's a nurse, and she was a labor and delivery nurse for 10 years, and thankfully made an amazing decision to put her career on hold to be at home with my 3 daughters. And so the medical field, physician's assistant, RN, LPN, all of it is just wide open and very bright. So consider that. Pay scale. Seems like this is a piece that everyone's thinking about, and I'm here to tell you that I'm at the top of my pay scale. Not what you see there for fire chief, and I'm not going to get philosophical, but this job, the money is nice. I'll say that in Washington State. It varies all over, but when you get to the heart of it, it's not about the money. Either you love it or you don't. And if you don't, the money may not seem like enough. But for a blue-collar job, meaning you can graduate from high school, you have a driver's license, for the most part, you can apply to the fire service. Some places like Seattle, Tacoma that are bigger, they will just hire you. They'd rather teach you their way. I'd recommend college classes, EMT, paramedic school, volunteer experience. It gives you an advantage when you test. But for the most part, this is one of the few jobs in the trades where you can go from high school, and if you test well academically and you are fit, doesn't mean you have to be able to be a marathoner or an Olympian, just general fitness, and you could step into a job that pays very well. Okay. Some of that pay I want to add before I move on to this next slide, though. A lot of it, though, the pay and the time off is truly because of the hazards. We have a higher incidence of cancer potential. There's a huge study that we did back in 2005 when we lost a dear member of our own to brain cancer. And we have another gentleman that just retired early because he has stage 4 lung cancer. And so there's many measures and things that are being done to prevent that, to mitigate the incidence of getting cancer. But that is one of the reasons that we have a strong labor union and bargain very hard for presumptive things at legislative level to be paid so well. So that's probably kind of boring to you, but when you get to my old age with gray hair, it matters. So